In professional wrestling, you have champions and you have legends. But what happens when a guy is both and still gets denied his place in history? This is the story of a world title victory that was practically erased, a shameful moment buried for decades, and the day Bobo Brazil was robbed of wrestling's biggest prize. Long before the flashy spectacle of modern sports entertainment, in a time of steel mills and segregation, a giant of a man emerged. Born Houston Harris in Little Rock, Arkansas in 1924, he grew up in Benton Harbor, Michigan, and the world would come to know him as Bobo Brazil. Harris stepped into a professional wrestling ring around 1951, a time when the color of your skin often decided who you could fight, where you could wrestle, and what you could possibly achieve. In many wrestling territories, black wrestlers were often pitted only against other black wrestlers. It was a system designed to keep them out of the main event and far away from the prestigious World Heavyweight Championship. But Bobo Brazil was different. Standing an imposing 6'6" with a rare mix of charisma and raw power, he was a force that promoters simply couldn't afford to ignore. His popularity was off the charts. He drew huge, racially mixed crowds when that was a controversial act all by itself. Fans, black and white, flocked to see him, drawn in by his quiet dignity and his killer finishing move, the Cocoa Butt. He was often called the Jackie Robinson of professional wrestling, a man who didn't just knock on the door, he broke it down with his incredible talent and massive appeal. Promoters who were initially hesitant quickly learned that booking Bobo Brazil meant selling out arenas. He wasn't just another wrestler, he was a main event attraction, a star who proved a black man could be the biggest draw in the building. He was a true pioneer, forcing a segregated industry to finally recognize a talent it could no longer hold back. The date was August 18th, 1962. The city? Newark, New Jersey. The prize? The most coveted title in all of professional wrestling, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. The match was a big deal, and it ended in a way that should have changed wrestling history. During the fight, Rogers took a shot to the groin and was declared unable to continue. The referee raised Bobo Brazil's hand. He had done it. He was, for all intents and purposes, the new NWA World Heavyweight Champion. But then, something happened that said everything about the kind of man Bobo Brazil was. Believing Rogers might actually be hurt, and not wanting to win the sport's top prize on a technicality, Brazil refused to accept the championship belt. It was an incredible act of sportsmanship, a gesture of honor. But that decision, an act of pure class, would unfortunately open the door for one of wrestling's most frustrating what-ifs. In the days that followed, the story got murky. Rumors flew that Rogers' injury was a fake, a convenient way for the champion to avoid a clean loss. Because of the controversy and Rogers' inability to defend the belt, some local promoters started billing Bobo Brazil as the champion. For a brief, fleeting moment in some towns, history was seemingly made. But the National Wrestling Alliance, the powerful board that controlled the world title, never officially recognized the title change. They simply continued to recognize Buddy Rogers as the champion. Just like that, any claim Bobo had to the title was gone. A victory in the ring was effectively ignored by the men in charge. Many people believe the NWA's stance was rooted in the ugly racism of the era. The thought of a black man holding their most important title and headlining shows in the segregated South was something the powers that be just weren't ready for. Rogers' supposed injury and Brazil's honorable refusal gave them the perfect cover to deny him the belt. The incident wasn't a one-off event. It was a sign of a much bigger problem. 4 years later, in 1966, Bobo Brazil did capture a world championship. This time, he defeated Buddy Austin to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, a major title based out of Los Angeles. By any real measure, he was now a world champion, holding a belt worn by legends like Freddie Blassie and Lou Thesz. Yet, history repeated itself in a cruel way. Eventually, the WWA promotion was reabsorbed into the NWA's territory system, and its championship was abandoned. When it all shook out, Bobo Brazil's reign as a world champion was once again not part of the official NWA World Heavyweight Championship lineage. His victory, in a promotion outside their direct control, was another world title run that the NWA history books wouldn't count. This second instance reinforced a heartbreaking reality. No matter how popular he was, how many tickets he sold, or what titles he won outside their immediate control, the system seemed designed to keep Bobo Brazil from the very top of their mountain. It was a clear pattern of bias, a glass ceiling that felt impossible to shatter. To get why this happened, you have to understand the wrestling business in the 50s and 60s. The industry was a collection of regional territories, all under the umbrella of the National Wrestling Alliance. The NWA champion was a traveling attraction, and his appearance guaranteed a huge payday for the local promoter. Those promoters, driven by a mix of fear and prejudice, operated on a toxic assumption that white audiences, particularly in the segregated South, would never pay to see a black world champion. They feared backlash. They feared losing money. This fear, a direct reflection of the times, became an unwritten rule. This even led to the creation of segregated championships in some territories, like so-called Negro heavyweight titles, designed to give the illusion of opportunity while keeping the system separate and unequal. The dismissal of Bobo Brazil's NWA title claim wasn't just a random event, it was a business decision made to maintain a prejudiced status quo. Controversial finishes were the tools used to enforce a racist policy. This pattern continued for decades, a shameful part of wrestling's history, until Ron Simmons became the first officially recognized black world champion for a major U.S. promotion in 1992. Bobo Brazil's story is a vital piece of wrestling history that everyone should know. If you think these hidden stories are important, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. It helps more people discover the truth about the sport's forgotten legends and ensures we can keep digging into these important chapters. They could deny him a title, but they couldn't erase his legacy. Though robbed of the official NWA recognition he earned, Bobo Brazil's impact on professional wrestling is permanent. He spent over 4 decades in the ring, retiring in the early 1990s after a career that made him one of the first black megastars in American sports. His influence is massive. He became a mentor to a new generation of black wrestlers, including Soul Man Rocky Johnson, the father of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. By breaking down barriers in arenas across the country, he paved the way for every black superstar who followed, from Junkyard Dog and Tony Atlas to Booker T and Kofi Kingston. And while the NWA might not have put the title on him in 1962, the wrestling world eventually gave him his flowers. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 1994. He was honored by the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame in 1996, the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2008, and, in a moment of poetic justice, the NWA Hall of Fame in 2013. These honors prove that his influence was bigger than any single championship belt. The story of how Bobo Brazil was robbed of wrestling's biggest prize is a story of racism, systemic bias, and how business interests can crush fairness. The events of 1962 are a harsh reminder of the injustices black athletes endured. But more than that, it's a story of incredible resilience. Bobo Brazil faced a system built to keep him down, and, through pure talent and dignity, became one of the most beloved and respected wrestlers of his era. He always carried himself like a champion, whether the people in power agreed or not. His win was denied, his reign was unrecognized, but his legacy shines on. It reminds us that while the powerful get to write the first draft of history, the truth has a way of lasting forever, and a true legend can never be fully erased.